Hello and welcome to the 15-Minute Book Club, a new short-form podcast from me, historian Alex Churchill.
And me, I'm just Matt Bone.
I just love the enthusiasm. Okay, the premise is simple. Each week we talk to an author. Whilst you make a coffee or a quick run to the shops in the car, they have precisely 15 unfiltered, uneditable minutes to field our questions and convince you that you need a copy of their new book in your life. At the 1 minute mark, we'll sound an alarm and throw at them the meanest, most ridiculous comment we think someone, I think we're going to nickname him Mr. Gammon, out there on the internet might dream up, and they get to shoot it down in flames before the clock runs out. So without further ado, Matt, who is the poor soul we've roped into this pilot episode?
Yes, I'm excited for this, but because we're making them do all the work, I'm going to get them to introduce themselves. So, hello, who the heck are you?
Hello, I'm Kate Vigurs. I'm the author of Mission Europe.
You forgot the second bit, which I wrote down, the secret. Yeah, the secret history of SOE. There you go. You can get the full thing in, Kate. Yes. Or you could save that for 15 minutes. I've just completely spoiled the last 7. Super.
Brilliant. And this is the follow-up to Mission France, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So everybody writes about France almost to the ways. And then I wanted to write about other agents in other countries, not just French resistance, but, you know, there were other countries too.
Amazing.
Super. Right. I think we should get this going because the longer we put this off, I can see you're getting more nervous. So Okay. Right. Fingers on buzzers. Kate, on your specialist subject, your own book, your 15 minutes begins now.
So let's start. What was your top line? How did you sell this to your publisher?
So on the back of the success of Mission France, I told my publishers we needed a book about SOE women who weren't in France, that there were other countries involved in the Second World War, there were other occupied territories, and women did go out either on SOE missions or had SOE training to go on other missions. And I wanted those women to come out of the footnotes and into the main text. So that was how I sold it. They're not forgotten. They're not unsung. They're just not known about in this country. They need to be written about in English. And that was how I sold it. We need to hear about these women outside of their own countries.
And I guess as well, what sort of countries are we talking about? Because when we say sort of Europe, it's big. Were there any in particular that you focused in on, or that there's stories leapt out at you that you just had to throw in?
Sorry, I got a terrible lag there.
That's all right. We'll edit this to make it look even better.
So can you say the question again? Because it just completely lagged on your question.
That's all right. What sort of countries were the stories leaping out at? Because, you know, Europe's quite broad. So where are the countries that you're going to take us in the book?
So we start off with Poland because she was 2 or 3 years ago. But Elżbieta Zawadzka trained how to parachute. She comes to England. That takes forever. And she needs to go back to Poland. And the only way to do that is to parachute. So she has SOE training. The Netherlands is a massive story in terms of SOE. There's something called the Englandspiel, where the first wireless operator is captured and told, use your wireless set as if you're still at liberty or we'll kill you. So he sends a message while he's at liberty, and on the back of that, a female agent is dropped. She was never going to be an SOE agent. That's a tragedy of this. She was only going to be SOE for the first 24 hours, but it only takes 30 seconds to capture somebody once they've landed. So she was arrested as an SOE agent. Belgium, we've got in there as well. I do have 2 chapters on France, I'm not going to lie, because the first book only focuses on one of the sections in France. There were actually 4. So I focus on de Gaulle's section. What else do I go? We go to Denmark, which is fascinating. You could argue that's not Europe and it's Scandinavia, but It's in there. And then there were 3 Jewish women who'd emigrated to Mandate Palestine, and they were offered the opportunity to parachute back into Europe, and they did. So those are the countries that I am encompassing. Quite a lot, as I discovered when I recorded the audiobook and had to learn 9 languages very quickly.
Oh my God, I feel your pain. Hungarian, right? Hardest to pronounce. Anything is in Hungarian.
Impossible. Polish as well. It's like all constant.
So I have to ask you, did you, you know, you're not supposed to have a favourite child and everything, but absolutely you always have a favourite child when you're writing a book like this. So who did you absolutely fall in love with?
Jan Boeck. She was a BCRA. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that. That's de Gaulle's bit. She was a Republique Française agent. She was 21 years old, and when she left school, she didn't know what to do, and a job came up in a chemical plant in Brest at the Moulin Blanc. And she went and learned how to mix chemicals, and in that learned how to make explosives. To cut a very long story short, she escaped to England during the fall of France, and made her way to. Then de Gaulle says, "I'm really good with explosives. What can you use me for?" And the idea was she was going to become a sabotage instructor. Her file says under her hobbies, all nice hobbies, and then it says homemade explosives. And it says she was a lovely girl of a diminutive stature who liked to play rough and tumble with the boys. And I thought, how can you not love this woman? Who then goes out to France. She teaches the men how to blow stuff up, which in itself is amazing, a woman teaching men to do stuff like that. And the men obviously loved her and thought she was worth listening to. And she does the blueprint for D-Day, for the sabotage ahead of D-Day. She blows up some trains, showing them that this will be an effective form of sabotage ahead of D-Day to slow down German troop movements. I just think she's brilliant and completely underestimated and untalked about. She needs to be talked about more.
From my point of view, stuff that goes on the ground tends to be targets. But what aeroplanes do we get to talk about in this book? I'm guessing the lovely Lizzie makes an appearance as well at some point.
She does. She's not on the front cover this time, though. Whenever I'm doing
yes, I was disappointed in that. We'll have to have a word afterwards.
I know, I was too. Yeah, we get some aircraft in there, some Halifaxes, some B-52s. But the Lysander's an interesting one this time. Because the territories that I'm talking about this time aren't really suitable for Lysander landings. The Netherlands, too open, too wet, too windy. Belgium can't accommodate them. It's too far to take them any further than that. So you're almost talking at some points, certainly Poland, of having an airbase in Italy at Brindisi, where the agents would sort of like leapfrog onto their missions. So yeah, the Lysander's there, but not as much as I would like it to be.
Okay. Well,
I've got to ask you. He'll get over it eventually. I've got to ask you, because I've seen you give a talk about this. What happens, and you'll know exactly who I'm referring to, what happens when SOE picks a wrong 'un?
So my favourite wrong 'un, because there are a few in Mission Europe, it goes a bit wrong. So I think you're referring to a lady called Olga Jackson, who was employed by T-Section, which is frankly what happens when my hair needs dyeing. But T-Section was the Belgian section. And they employ a few women, but one of them is Olga. You know all you need to know about her when you get her address, which was Wits End House. She was nuts. But they have to be, don't they? You've got to have something about you to want to jump out of an airplane and work in enemy-occupied territory. Now, she does her actual mission very well. She actually exceeds expectations in terms of her mission, but that's not the fun bit. When her mission ends, when she is no longer needed as an agent, she asks for leave, and she asks for leave. And they say, are not to wear your uniform, which is a uniform of the First Aid Nursing Yeomanry. So it's a khaki uniform, a bit like the ATS. And they say, you mustn't wear it. No, I won't. She goes straight home and puts it on and then starts requisitioning expensive motor cars. So she writes like handwritten letters and says, I can't remember which kind of car it was now, the first one, but she says, I need to requisition your motor car for very it. And then she goes to the War Office to ask for them to provide a letter that this car won't be requisitioned by anyone else, even though she's not allowed to officially requisition it. So she nicks this motor car, goes on a massive jolly around the countryside. And actually it ends in tragedy. It ends in a road crash where 2 people lose their lives. But it doesn't deter her. She just goes and requisitions another one and does the same thing all over again. So when you get to the end of her files, you're finding this like list of missing cars and owners wanting to know where, my vehicle is that I lent her a few days. There's a quote in her file that says, to the effect, we created this monster. We're the ones who trained her. We're the ones who gave her the courage of her convictions to go out and pinch people's motor cars. And then she just disappears. She just disappears from all SOE records. They don't know where she's gone. They can't contact her. She's got their uniform. She's got their equipment. And she just disappears into the sunset. And there's more to find out about Olga. But yeah, that's what happens. They have to admit their training did it.
Is she not last seen on a yacht in the Mediterranean or something like that?
Yeah, she was. Yeah, so I managed, since the book came out, I've information on a yacht in the Mediterranean, which has an equally ridiculous name, on a par with Wits End. she's just bonkers, and I need to find out more about her. But she's like a female Toad of Toad Hall.
Does that happen often, that you've trained these people up and at the end of the war they just disappear off with their skill set into the ether? Their files just sort of end. And
yeah, it really can do. And the thing is, you have trained these people to be able to hands. The SOE just sort of closed their office doors in 1946 and say, toodaloo, thank you very much. The letters in the files literally say, this office is no longer functional. Thanks for all your service. But you've got people out there. There's a story of a woman who was mugged about 20 years after the war, and the muggers just chose the wrong person, because she had one of them on the floor in a headlock, and the other one, I think she broke his arm. You don't mess with a former SOE agent. It never leaves you. So, it did follow them, definitely.
There are men in this book as well, aren't there? You're not like belligerently ignoring the male contribution, although the women are your focus.
No, not at all. The women worked alongside men. I don't pretend they're not there. You just have to have a focal point when you're writing a book, as you all know. And I chose that these women would be the focal point, but I'm not going to ignore the fact that there are men around them. There's a lot of love interest in Mission Europe. Poor old Varinka Whitchfield, as she was, gets proposed to about 900 times by Fleming Moose before she finally goes, God, do you know what? I'm just going to say yes, so we can get on with fighting the war. And you can stop asking me to marry.
That's hilarious.
They work
That's
for
like
men.
he literally
These
wore her
women
down.
are predominantly subordinate. Yeah, literally. So, there are plenty of male stories in there. Not all of them come out basking in glory, but there's no point pretending they weren't there. This was an organisation that treated men and women equally. And they did. They were probably one of the first equal opportunities employers, apart from pay. Don't start me on that. But women always worked as subordinates to men. They very rarely went in a role where they would be in charge. That tended to happen by mishap, really, when the male agents were arrested or so on.
What is a terrible way to start this sort of question, but having gone through the sort of research of this, what do you see sort of the parallels between each of the countries? Is there a different sort of strike rate at getting these people into the bag once they've been parachuted in, or is it a very much France was one thing, Hungary was another? Do you see a very different story in each of the countries that you go to when it comes to the challenges that they face?
Yeah, they're all very different, and that's why this time I chose to look at them by country, not chronologically. The idea had originally been chronological, and I was like, we can't do that because you'll literally be going by the hour after D-Day. It's not going to work. So each country's occupation is so different that their reaction with their resistance and therefore with their SOE agents is very different as well. So there are different kinds of missions as well sometimes. Elaine Madden was sent to Belgium, and one of her jobs was to look after the Prince Regent, who needed evacuation. And she just sat slagging off the Prince Regent, saying he was rubbish and wasn't doing anything, and probably just sitting around in some Belgian house somewhere having a lovely time, not realizing it was actually him. And when she met him after the war, she was mortally embarrassed. So yeah, every country is different.
My God, right,
God,
okay, 1 minute to go. Okay, right, okay. Mr. Gammon today says, ugh, another secret, unknown, forgotten, woke history book about women in war. Surely there's nothing new to say about SOE at this point.
Well, I beg to differ. There's a lot to be said about SOE at this point. I agree. It's not secret. It's not unsung. You have to go looking for it. And I did. I went all over Europe looking for these women. I had a dreadful time going to various cafes and archives, but I did go all over Europe. And my aim is to bring these stories into the English language to get them known here. Some of them, like Elżbieta Zawadzka, very well known. Not over here. Well known within the Jewish community, less known in the wider community. So it's not woke, it's not feminist. I am just bringing these women into our lives so that we can learn about them and understand and appreciate the work that they did during the war. And basically, these ordinary women who did extraordinary things, which would have been a great tagline.
Take that, Mr. Gammon.
Time's up.
In your face.
Indeed, yes, got you.
And if anyone is timing you, we have given you an extra 18 seconds because we've had a bit of lag on the line. So we weren't too brutal in our first ever episode.
Yeah, Mr. Gammon's going to be all over that. You said 15 minutes and it was actually 15 minutes and 18 seconds. He's out there.
Yeah, he is out there somewhere.
Trust me, if
yeah, he absolutely is.
Dear commenter, with your fingers poised to give us a 1-star review on Apple Podcasts or an unlike thing on YouTube, yeah, we're expecting you.
Kate, thank you so much. The book is Mission Europe. No, absolutely, just brilliant. Like you say, there's nothing woke about it. There's nothing clickbaity about it. These stories are out there. They hadn't been told, and you have trod the ground to go and find them. The book is amazing. I've read it. Do go out and buy it. It's by Yale University Press, isn't it?
It is, yes. Yeah. So go
and
review.
Kate, would you be willing to hang around for a few minutes of extra time afterwards for the Patreon people who will get a few more minutes of us basically just giggling about people stealing cars and going off and blowing stuff up? I'm taking it that's a yes.
Sorry, yes, absolutely. I'm sorry. There's a really bad lag on the line.
You see, this is, as we're wrapping up, we'll put this into the actual one. This is why you do pilots, ladies and gentlemen, because this always happens.
So the principle is, everybody who's tuned in, thank you. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back with we're going to do non-fiction primarily, but we're not opposed to doing some fiction stuff as well. Not all history either, even though that's both of our background. So if you're one of the people that doesn't wish to subscribe to Patreon and just likes to listen for free, then bye-bye for now. We hope to see you again. Please leave us a review somewhere because we are new and tiny and no one knows we exist, and it's muchly appreciated. But for all others, head over to Patreon, where we're going to continue with Kate for a little while longer.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Kate. She's lagging again. It's all good.